I'll read a piece called Alien Proforma, which is about an event which I'm sure most of you know about, the Roswell, so-called Roswell incident, which is one of the most documented accounts of alien landings, which happened in 1947. I'm not desperately interested in the whole business of aliens, but I am very interested in the business of narrative. And what got me interested in the Roswell incident was just a coincidence of reading 2 or 3 newspaper accounts in one week, which were seriously at variance with each other, and a TV program at the same time. And I then got interested in the way that, and the reason it's called Alien Proforma is the way that the Roswell incident really is the one which defines the whole structure of all later accounts of alien landings. And so it's a pro forma account. I assume you have this expression here. I mean, in England, a pro forma invoice is something you issue and somebody's got to pay for the goods before you send them. So in a way, there's this kind of investment in the whole notion of the alien story, which is going on here. The footage referred to is almost certainly a forgery, which was made sometime in the 1990s, but that's even more grist to my mill. The wrecked metal of the spacecraft looked like tin foil, but you could take that stuff and wad it up, and it would straighten itself out like a crumpled Mebius strip of the target language. As I see it now, the target is transparent, a glass dome of the shared vocabulary of 2 peoples, each of whose pronunciation is unearthly to the other. These are such deep threats and adjectival threads represented on the map you have as ley lines or another compound with the same phonetic register or nearly. For the moment, let's call that target the Air Force Base at Roswell, New Mexico. The date is July 4, 1947, the time 11:30 p.m. It needs comparing to a sentence of, at best, indeterminate significance. There are always 10 on 999, for example, or the chance resemblance of inhibit and inhabit. These aliens do just look like smaller and hairless human beings, but with lizard eyes, and in the order of the text, a little abstract. It was my own map I lent you, and if it's not any trouble, a Xerox would help. The names of the witnesses, Trudy Truelove and James Ragsdale, are intriguing enough. They are soulmates, certainly, accessing the message line and following the simple instructions. And then there's the fireman, Dan Dwyer, who saw 2 body bags and one of the beings still alive, about the size of a 10-year-old child. If I tell you that he or she was female, you'll begin to see the nature of the problem. The site was, or rather, the seal was sighted off, and the story will soon have subtitles added. In the adaptation, you'll see the undertaker making 2, maybe 3 child-sized coffins. But we haven't got that far in the original version. The surgeon pauses. When the contents of the skull are removed, they are flesh-like, but most unlike a human brain with its grooves and folds. In the black and white target language, the film is called grainy. The wingless craft is seen entering the sentence a second before impact. The scalpel goes down the trunk to the swollen belly, which suggests that this small being might have been pregnant. There are female genitalia, but no navel and no hair. Once the body cavity is exposed, there are no familiar coils of intestine. The body organs are again flesh-like, soft, just as the framing constructions are claws-like, but in alien analysis lack verbs. In the stills, she is a doll, naked and abandoned in any sense you choose. When the black lids are lifted from the eyes, we see white orbs in the target language. It is Phrases like this we cannot translate. High-altitude weather balloon in 47 becomes radiation monitor in 94. Lid is related to lizard in some unspecified way, film to flimsy, and so on. They are strays who have wandered from their proper atmosphere and lie threatening and dead on the army surgeon's table. They are future ghosts, hieroglyphic and geometrical shapes like words read backwards through the transparent foil of the crumpled loop, which is an airstrip after all, after us. It's not simply that the numbers change, but that first it's 3, and then it's 5, but never 4. And yet, in any account, it's only one of the aliens who is said to have been walking around when the humans arrived, and that one disappears from the story like a shifter in the target language. The other 2 or 4 lie dead in the hangar. Make a note, we have the shifter and the hangar right there for all to see, like the half-rhyme of text and special effects, which for all we know is hieroglyphically correct. That one's as likely to be still alive as any other witness and talking with a similar accent. It was June and not July. Trudy and James are no longer being mentioned, but Dan Dwyer's daughter cries and cries. Repeat after me, non video. The officer was banging his baton in the palm of his hand as an inalienable right, hoax signo. In the first adaptation, we see lightning fork across the desert, and an alien, by this time possibly a laboratory mutant, flashed on the screen for a second. The pro forma image is in that sense static interference. The sound goes off out of radio contact. We see the lips of the witnesses still moving, but we only hear the thunder by now overhead. There is a flip mid-sentence as a floating preposition from a newer technology prowls the desert headland, then flimsy again, although the alien skull seems bony enough and remains in this adaptation unopened. Syntax is reduced to the sequence of frames, just as the commentaries are grammar. You keep rubbing your right ear, but the noise continues deep down and right across the landscape behind you as the motor language stays ticking over. In the still, the image is reversed and the wound transferred to the subject's left leg. There was an army cordon around the hangar and a heavy toxic smell, maybe farts of the alien shifters just before the full stop. You understand? The debris, when it showed up in Texas, was entirely different stuff. We called them flying rings in those days. We've come that far since 1947, but I don't remember the 6 fingers on the alien's left hand. The witness's eyes tell us nothing in too obvious close-up. There was that white object in the sky and something funny on the target language radar. Everything goes white, from the unnecessary lightning to the surgeon in Ghost Strip. I know what I saw, although no one else will say. And when the lid is lifted, as it didn't have to be, the white eye